Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. This episode, I'm going to be talking about some more BlueAnon conspiracy theories, and I'll then pivot over to some cultural stuff. So let's get started. Trump requests a mail-in ballot after months of falsely crying fraud on mail-in ballots. This is from the Washington Post, and this is just textbook disinformation. They are not based in reality. This should be fact-check false because this is not what Trump said. I'm old enough to remember Trump's problem was with unsolicited ballots. He has no problem with absentee ballots when you basically request that ballot in, you send in a form, you sign it, and they return a ballot to you. You fill it out, you sign it, you mail it back, and they compare the two signatures to ensure that at least the person who requested that ballot had the same signature from the person who requested it, right? So don't listen to me. Listen to the beautiful orange man himself.
A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country.
Millions.
There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame.
So, like he said, he doesn't have a problem with absentee ballots when you request them. He has a problem when they send out thousands or millions of votes. This is just disingenuous. This is just another blue drop from these mainstream Democrat conspiracy theorists who just have to say, orange man is always bad. Let's see what some of the people, it's not worthwhile to call these people out on their hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is not a bug, it's a flex. Not sure who this is, but his hands are disproportionately small and his skin looks like upholstery. Oh, like a fat couch. Maybe someone needs to look who manages the post office. And I heard he also has his ballot harvested and delivered because it was too late to mail it back. Using his logic, it is committing fraud. Right? These people don't live in reality. Trump requested a ballot. Trump didn't receive an unsolicited mail-in ballot. He requested an absentee ballot. He would fill it out and return it. Exactly what he said he did not have a problem with. These BlueAnon conspiracy theorists are a threat to democracy and, quite frankly, should not be trusted with sharp pointy objects because they might just poke themselves accidentally because they don't seem very bright. Let's jump over to Dick Dugan. Ali Mutnick, some Iowa 02, basically the representative race in Iowa District 2 news. House administration is postponing a decision on what to do in the contested race, which Representative Mariannette Miller-Meeks won by 6 votes over Rita Hart. But a recount seems likely. Chair Zoe Lofgren, the American people deserve to know who actually won this election. The race had already been a certified recount. I would assume that the then House Democrats are saying they want to continue recounts until they get to the results they want. Sounds like what Trump wanted in several states that they complain about. Okay, so that person was just following this. But this is actually a good point. Are they saying they just want continual recounts until they get the results that they want? And this is really important because if a Republican were to be making these claims, so this is Iowa 22, in New York District 22, you had Representative Brindisi, I believe, who up until February was contesting the results of the race, and he had clearly lost it. He wanted to basically do everything that the Kraken lawsuit pledged to do. He wanted to look into the voting machines. He wanted to compare signatures. He wanted to do all these things because he believed there was a widespread voter fraud throughout New York for that representative seat. And it seemed quite undemocratic. So tell me why Democrats hate the Democrat process so much. I was told that Donald Trump was a threat to democracy just for asking who filled out these signatures, who filled out these ballots. Hey, can we confirm who sent this? And now when Democrats do it, it's just cheered on as supporting democracy. It's actively encouraged because the American people deserve to know who actually won this election. I'm pretty sure the American people deserve to know who actually won other elections as well. But by even asking that question, you can be banned from YouTube. You can be banned from just media writ large. And it's getting bananas just asking the question, hey, can we look into some of these discrepancies? But when you have people who lose multiple recounts, right? And it's not like they're looking for millions of votes. They're only counting hundreds of thousands of votes, and they actually hand recounted the votes, and they still lost multiple times. And now they're going, well, I want to look into the electronic machines to make sure that the algorithm wasn't wrong because, the orange man said something about the computer systems, and I think the algorithm's wrong. That's what Brindisi was saying in New York. And now they want to overturn 5 months after the November election. They want to overturn the peoples of Iowa's choice to be their representative. That the hypocrisy, I don't understand how the Democrats can live with themselves because this is so hypocritical. This is just disgusting on so many levels. Let's jump over to Abigail Monroe. Peter Ducey asked a very fair question about why border facilities for children were open at 100% capacity per CDC guidance, but schools were not. He's right. There's nothing funny about dangerous school closure policies that are wreaking havoc on America's children. As you know, there's a blight of suicide amongst our nation's children. Suicide rates among children have skyrocketed in the past year. Depression has skyrocketed. Obesity has skyrocketed. Education has plummeted. This is not a good year for Americans' youth, especially teenagers who can't cope with the stress, who can't cope with the isolation. My daughter's in kindergarten, and we managed to send her to private school, so she's able to adjust pretty well. But if she was going to public school and she was 15 instead of 5, she would probably have had problems with us sending her to private school, even though that would have been better for her overall mental well-being. She still would have wanted to be with her friends, even though nobody was going to school, right? So it's a problem. So Philip Wegman, it's not funny, Ducey tells press secretary when she smirks at his question. He asked whether Border Patrol unions were easier to work with than the teachers union, given both deal with kids packed together inside during COVID-19. He brings up a good point because the CDC expanded these child facilities, these kids in cages, to 100% capacity, yet the Biden administration isn't pushing back on these teachers unions who refuse to open up. They've been vaccinated. They have their plexiglass, they have their hand sanitizer, they have their masks. They're passing the stimulus bill, which is going to allow for the HVAC units, I assume, that Joe Biden keeps talking about. Oh, we need more filtration system for the schools. Okay, you're going to get that too. So open up the damn school. I don't understand why it's okay to lock little brown kids and children, or little brown children in cages at a 100% capacity, but it's not okay to send American children to school. What seems more inhumane, sending kids to school to learn or locking brown children up in cages for the crime of being brown? I don't understand that policy. Maybe it's because I'm a direct descendant of immigrants, that I'm pretty sensitive to this subject, but it really bothers me how Democrats are like, oh, there's nothing to see here, guys. There's nothing to see at the border. Joe Biden has managed to lock more kids in cages than Trump could ever have dreamed of, and Trump was somehow a Nazi. Go screw yourselves, Democrats, because this is unacceptable, and your basically segregationist policies are basically Trump's wet dreams. Everything you said Trump was, Joe Biden is, and you guys are too stupid to understand that. Let's jump over to Katie Davenport. or Davis Court. Thread on Seattle PD budget cut hearing. In short, Seattle Police Department faces a staffing crisis, and cutting the budget will lead to detrimental lasting effects on public safety. Scott Lindsay, thread on today's Seattle Police budget hearing. Chief Diaz, ad hoc cutting of the budget is leading to a staffing crisis that may become beyond mitigation. So who would have thought defunding the police would lead to a crisis? Crime would spike. Residents would be unhappy. People would flee these cities because they don't want to be victims of crimes, and the crime would never be solved. They would never, the person who committed the crimes would never be brought to justice because there would be no police to investigate. So why would you want to live in that city? I had a problem where there was a man beating his wife, and I was walking my dog. And I had to call 911 like 10 times. It took the police 45 minutes to show up. About 20 minutes in, I said, hey, look, I have my concealed carry permit. Can I just citizen arrest this guy? Because I don't know if he's going to beat her to death. What am I supposed to do here? It's taking you guys too long. What's going to happen if she dies? I'm not going to be able to live with myself knowing that I could have stopped what had happened here. And they were like, well, sir, you just need to stand by for the police. The police took an additional 25 minutes to get there. This is bananas, right? These cutting back of police departments is criminal. And these politicians who are cutting these budgets need to be held civilly and criminally responsible for all the crimes that are committed due to increased response times from police departments due to budget cuts, right? If you have less budgets and less cuts, and now your response times have gone from 10 minutes to 45 minutes, and in that time, what would have just been, a domestic assault arrest is now a domestic abuse / murder arrest, then those politicians who voted to slash those police fundings should be also held for manslaughter or some sort of conspiracy to commit murder, because that murder wouldn't have been able to be committed if it weren't for those police cuts. In my opinion, these corrupt Democrat politicians who are just sucking the toes of these social justice warriors need to be held accountable for their actions, because right now it's only taxpaying citizens who are held accountable. Lori Lightfoot had her private police department basically cordon off her street because she didn't want anybody to protest where she lived, because she said, this is where I live and my family deserves to be safe. Well, what about the rest of Chicago, woman? You are not special. You are only special because we tell you you are special. And as soon as we tell you you are no longer special, you are worth less than everybody who voted for you, because not only were you a failed mayor, everybody hates you, and they could probably be okay with the fact that you went to hell. Let's jump over to Sour Patch Princess, or Sour Patch Lids. Pathetic, spineless cowardice. This will not save him. It's too late now. So, from Winston Marshall, he's one of the players from a band, and I can't remember the name of the band. Let's see if it's on here. Oh, he deleted it. Oh my goodness. One of those folksy bands. I can't remember. After the past few days, I have come to better understand the pain caused by the book I endorsed. He's talking about Andy Ngo's book on Antifa, basically documenting their destruction throughout the year. I have offended not only a lot of people I don't know, but also those closest to me, including my bandmates, and for that I am truly sorry. As a result of my actions, I am taking time away from the band to examine my blind spots. For now, please know that I realize how my endorsements have the potential to be viewed as approvals of hateful, divisive behavior. I apologize, as this was not all my intention. So, what a pussy, right? He endorsed a book basically documenting how Antifa likes to burn buildings down, how they like to beat people with pipes, how they like to spray bear spray in individuals' faces, how Antifa likes to shoot Trump supporters in the chest. And he's apologizing for that? What a weak little man. And it's no surprise, right? Because he's from the other side of the pond, right? Sir Winston Marshall just looks like a frail little man who cannot stand up for his belief. Instead of spitting in the eye for the people who are mad at him, he is apologizing for reading a book and enjoying it, believing that it is informative. That is bananas. This is 2021. Fascism is real, but it's coming from the left. It is not coming from the right. What's the worst cancel culture thing that the right currently does? Okay, we are no longer going to buy from X and X place, right? We will no longer buy Nike because they support the social justice cause, or they support Uyghur slave labor because they use the Uyghurs to make their shoes, and we have a problem with that. So we're no longer going to buy Nike. Is that canceling Nike? No, that is basically protesting with your dollar. That is capitalism. What does the left do? We are going to destroy this person's life. We're going to dox people. We're going to burn down their house. We're going to burn down everything around them because he liked a book. This person has a pretty good tweet. You're apologizing to people who support burning, looting, harassing, mobbing, killing, banning books, words, ideas, and people, defunding police, revoking civil rights, and dismantling the common law, our Western traditions, and our inherited way of life by any means necessary. And that's pretty strong. It's just like, my goodness. If you can't read a book, they aren't your friends. Piling on like hyenas isn't helpful or decent either. Brother needs some deep mindset work. Being attacked by fake friends is a painful experience, but also leads to growth and authenticity. Glenn Beck, sad. Who will have had the guts to say, it is okay to disagree with me, even vehemently, but it is not okay to bully people into compliance. In America, we all have to live together. What is the left's plan when 40% of the country won't play their game? Zen Bent, Glenn Beck trying to play victim. Tony White, loving the response, though, from the right wing. He even admits he has upset his bandmates, which obviously affects him, yet they still bang on about the cancel culture. He's free to read what he likes and to promote it. Doesn't mean people have to agree, so not canceled, re-examining. No, that's not true. He basically said, this is a good book, Annie No, good job. And then basically they're saying, what, you're supporting a fascist? Isn't Andy No gay? I don't understand. He's supporting a gay Asian man, and I think Andy No's gay. I read that someplace. I'm not 100% sure, so if I'm wrong on that, I'm sorry about that, Andy No. But I'm just going off of what I said, and it's off the top of my head right now because this is totally unscripted when I say this. But it seems really weird that you're getting bashed for liking something that a gay man wrote, right? But no, it's the wrong gay man who wrote it. So that's the problem. That's the problem with the left. It's the wrong think. And when you have wrong think, you must be destroyed. I know it is difficult to be courageous instead of cowardly, but how disappointing to see you cave to these disgusting bullies. This is from Molly. Gretchen Lynn, this is pathetic. Kaylee McKee, hey, I really hope to see the kind of company you are keeping in these comments. The ones tearing you down, spitting on you, all these strange conservative conspiracists. I am, okay. This is a person approving of him, basically bending over to the mob. Scott Moorfield, better to stand on your feet than live on your knees. They were going to cancel you regardless. There's no compromising with these jackals and no point in apologizing to them. Ever. Big mistake. And he has a point. As soon as you show that you're weak, they will go in for the kill. And he needs to remember that. He will be permanently canceled for the next 5 to 10 years because of this. And it is quite disturbing. To the last story. We live in a society where 5-year-olds are old enough to change their gender, but not old enough to watch Peter Pan. Everything is completely upside down and backwards. We are totally lost in our own confusion. That was from Matt Walsh. And why is he saying that? Now this, Disney Plus has removed several movies, including Dumbo, Peter Pan, The Aristocrats, and Swiss Family Robinson from children's profiles, citing negative stereotypes in the films. And I'm going to stack onto what Matt Walsh said, and I'm going to keep this short. Walsh, excuse me. English was my second language after all. So not only is it that 5-year-olds are old enough to change their gender, but remember just the other day, we were told that 5-year-olds were kinky, that in New York, they want to push sex education for kindergartners. So they want to say that my 5-year-old daughter is kinky and should go through sex education classes, but she's not old enough, and she's also old enough to basically take hormone suppressants and have a gender change, right? Like basically mutilate her body at 5 years old. She's old enough to make all those decisions on her own, but she's not old enough to watch Dumbo or Peter Pan, and I'm not a good enough parent to say, hey, I understand that this movie was made literally before the civil rights movement ever happened. What Dumbo was made in the 40s, I believe. So you go, hey, there's things that we need to talk about in this movie, things that you really shouldn't repeat that you saw in this movie. This is why you shouldn't repeat it, because people could be hurt from what was said in this movie. And that is how to be a parent. This is disgusting. This is what the left wants. The left wants to basically parent for you. They want to take away your basically social responsibilities as a parent. You teaching your kids what's rights. Excuse me. They want to take away your right to teach your kid what you believe is right and wrong, because that's where you have conservatism and liberalism and progressivism and all these isms, right? It is taught by the family, or at least started by the family. Sometimes you'll have your kids go and pivot the opposite direction of their parents, sometimes due to, various reasons. But it is the parents' job to basically set their kids down a path where they think is best. But the Democrats want to basically say, no, we're going to teach your kids what is and what is not acceptable. And what they're saying is acceptable is 5-year-olds can change their genders. 5-year-olds can go through sex education. 5-year-olds can take hormones. 5-year-olds can go through gender reassignment surgery. 5-year-olds can be kinky. But 5-year-olds are not mature enough to watch Dumbo. Does that cause a headache? Does that make it hard to understand? The cognitive dissonance that I'm currently going through to try to understand their point of view is basically making me want to go find a brick wall and smash my head about 17 and a half times. It's probably going to only be a half a time, because I'll probably pass out after that 17th time. But it's bananas. These people are disgusting. They want to destroy your kid's innocence. They want to take away the innocence of a child. They want to see 5-year-olds. Oh my God, I hate to say it. I'm not even going to say it. But they like to rip on some of these conspiracy theorists when they're nailing it on some of these things that they're really pushing it. And that's all I'm going to say for now. So unless the country decides to burn to the ground overnight due to George Floyd or any other things that are currently going on in the country, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.